They say desperate times call for desperate measures, but how bloody desperate would you need to be to employ children as soldiers? Unfortunately, child soldiers go way back, pretty much to the origins of war, and they're still fighting wars today. World War II was rife with them. From Germany, yes, but other belligerent nations too. In this video, we're going to delve into the taboo topic of child soldiers in the Second World War, providing examples from a number of different fighting nations. Before we get stuck into it, we've got to ask, just who is defined as a child? Well, during the Second World War, the definition was a little hairy. It pretty much came down to military laws of each belligerent nation, or just how low they were willing to go in times of, in quotation marks, desperation. Things changed after the war. We often hear about the 1949 Geneva Conventions. In those, as well as the 1989 United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, children aged 15 and older are pretty much good to go to war. In the year 2000, the optional protocol to the Convention on the Rights of the Child on the Involvement of Children in Armed Conflicts was signed for the first time. This treaty basically prohibits the conscription of children under the age of 18, ensures recruits of the ages of 16 and 17 aren't involved in combat, and ensures that no one younger than 16 can be recruited. The key word in this treaty is optional, but as of September 2020, 170 states have signed it. So just who were the child soldiers of World War II? In October 1941, after officially entering the war in June, the USSR changed its minimum conscription age from 19 to 17 and made all male citizens between 16 and 28 liable for military service. In an order issued in 1942, Stalin adjusted the conscription to include male citizens between the ages of 17 and 30 from the territories he'd liberated from the Germans. Stalin did this because these citizens were, quote, burning with hatred for the invader and a desire to participate in the subsequent liberation of their Soviet motherland with weapons in their hands. While the 17 and 18-year-olds among these conscripts were of the legal age to fight according to Soviet law, many Soviet children served in the Red Army in an unofficial capacity. These boys are often referred to as sons of the regiment. Often, they had run away from home to join the fight or had been orphaned by the war. 13-year-old Ivan Gerasimov was among them. After his father was killed at the start of the war, Gerasimov joined the 112th Infantry Division, working as a cook and an ammunition carrier. During the Battle of Stalingrad, after his artillery crew members were killed in front of him, he took up a rifle and started firing on the Germans. During the chaos, one of his hands was blown off and his other arm was badly damaged. Instead of whining about it, young Gerasimov pulled the pin of an anti-tank grenade and threw himself under an enemy tank. But 13 was considered old for the Red Army in the Battle of Stalingrad. The dubious honor of the youngest son of the regiment to serve in the defense of Stalingrad goes to the famous 6-year-old Sergei Aleshkov, who was adopted by the 142nd Guards Rifle Regiment after his mother and father were executed by the Germans in 1941. He went on to receive a medal for military merit and survive World War II, though he became addicted to cigarettes at an early age, and this prevented him from furthering his military career. Like the USSR, the conscription age into the Imperial Japanese Armed Forces changed as the war dragged on. By 1938, during the Second Sino-Japanese War, just over 44% of Japanese men at a minimum age of 20 were conscripted. By late 1943, all men over the age of 20 were considered, many for kamikaze missions too. Things were looking bad for the Japanese by mid-1945. With the Allies invading the Japanese home island of Okinawa, the Japanese passed laws to form militia units known as the Volunteer Fighting Corps. These units would be composed of male civilians between 15 to 60 and female civilians aged 17 to 40, a demographic with a strength of approximately 28 million, though only about 2 million Japanese were actually conscripted. The Volunteer Fighting Corps received basic military training and were expected to fight to the death. While the Battle of Okinawa was over before these units could be implemented in an official capacity, that didn't stop the Japanese army from using them in battle. Recruited from Okinawan schools, some 1,780 schoolboys between 14 and 17 years old were forced, on the threat of imprisonment and death, into frontline service as members of the Teketsu Kinotai, or the Iron and Blood Imperial Corps. About half of them were killed during the battle. In the lead up to the Battle of Okinawa, 56 schoolgirls from the all-girls school Dani Koto Shokago were assigned as field medics to the Japanese army. Kiku Nakayama was among the 34 who didn't perish on the island. In her words, some soldiers came in with their guts spilling out. Some had their entire faces burnt away because of the shrapnel. It was truly hell on earth, in every possible way. Although the Germans crushed Poland at the very start of the war, its people continued the fight via a number of resistance organizations right until the end. Among their ranks were Polish younglings, with children between the ages of 12 to 15 working in support roles, and children ages 16 to 18 working reconnaissance and sabotage. The Grey Ranks was the code name for the Polish Scouting and Guiding Association during the existence of the Polish underground state. Children between the ages of 12 and 14 received training for support services in their war against the Germans, while children aged 15 to 17 took part in minor sabotage missions, such as distributing propaganda and destroying German symbology. Grey Rank members aged 17 and older served in Gruppe Sturmoweh, or assault groups, undertaking major sabotage operations against the Germans and fighting in the infamous 1944 Warsaw Uprising. By May 1944, the Grey Ranks numbered 8,359 members. Julian Kulski was just 10 years old when the war came to Poland. Still, he wouldn't just sit idly by while the Germans destroyed everything he loved, so he started sabotaging them. In Kulski's words, "I went to the street corners around Zolibos and with a struggle tore down 5 or 6 wooden signboards and carried them home on my bicycle." By 13, he was a fully trained member of the Polish resistance, and during an undercover mission into the Warsaw ghetto, the Gestapo captured him. He was subsequently tortured at Warsaw's Pawiak prison. He gave them nothing though, and was rescued just before they sent him to Auschwitz. Kulski went on to fight in the Warsaw Uprising. Of course, this video would be incomplete without the child soldiers who fought for Hitler in the Hitler Youth. The Hitler Youth, or Hitler Jugend, started out as a youth organization through which the Nazis indoctrinated males between the ages of 14 to 18, with boys aged 10 to 14 assigned to the subsidiary organization Deutsches Jungvolk and girls the Bund Deutscher Mädel. From the beginning of the war, members of the Hitler Youth served in auxiliary roles, working to clean up bombed cities and serving in anti-air crews, for instance. By 1943, when things were becoming more desperate for Hitler, he started drawing on the Hitler Youth to fill the ranks of the German military. The 12th SS Panzer Division Hitler Jugend, for example, was an armored division composed primarily of 16 and 17-year-old boys from the Hitler Youth. The unit participated in the defense of Normandy and, in this battle, suffered 60% casualties. The indoctrinated boys also committed a number of atrocities, massacring 86 French men in Usk, France on the way to Normandy, and 11 Canadian POWs at Ardennes Abbey during the Battle of Normandy. Members of the Deutsches Jungvolk served too. Among them was Alfred Czech, who at 12 years of age took his father's farm cart and used it to help a dozen German soldiers injured by mortars to safety. For this action, he was awarded the Iron Cross and a banquet was held in his name. During the banquet, the Nazis asked young Alfred if he wanted to go home or join the military. He chose the military, and they put him through an accelerated training program. During combat, he was shot through the lungs, but survived, only to be captured by the Soviets. Alfred was released from prison in 1947 at just 14 years of age. German children also fought in the Volkssturm, or People's Army, with males aged 16 to 60 conscripted into this last-ditch national militia established in September 1944. In reality, boys and girls as young as 8 served in this ragtag force, notably in the fall of Berlin alongside the Hitler Youth. We'd love to know what you think though. Did you know that militaries other than the German military employed child soldiers during the Second World War? Can you think of any other nations that used child soldiers or any other specific examples of children fighting in World War II? And lastly, at what age do you think people should be able to fight and die in your country's armed forces? Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. As always guys, thank you so much for watching and I hope you learned something new.